Welcome everybody to this week's episode on health and wealth. And again, I am here with my friend Kelvin, and we're here to discuss another interesting conversation. And if you're joining us again today, it means you have been liking the conversations that we've been having. And because of that, I want you to subscribe to this channel and also like our video. And remember, because we don't want to do this year alone, we want to do it as a community. Remember to share to your friends and family that you think can and should benefit from this conversation that we're having today.
Yeah, and as always, this week we have come with another interesting topic.
Yeah?
Especially the topics that are going to help us to achieve our 2025 goals. And we will talk about startups. We're talking about starting.
Yes.
And this is the time where we have all made our goals, we have made smart goals, we're diving into the habits, and we have so many things that we need to begin that will carry us through 2025. How do you start? So, and you just don't have the energy to start, and it's like a very confusing thing because you know that this thing is going to help you, but you just don't know
where to start. I know, because all of us have all these ideas that we've written down at some point, or we haven't written down, there in our heads. We're all constantly thinking about them, and we haven't really done anything about it. And the thing is, an idea that you have, it will remain an idea forever if you don't do anything about it.
And most of us have really brilliant ideas.
Exactly.
If we were to open each other up and see where the ideas reside, we will find a very big bank of brilliant ideas.
I'm telling you. And if ideas would pay, most of us would be millionaires.
Exactly.
Because look at all those beautiful ideas that we have, be it businesses, even something that we're just passionate about, a hobby that we want to pursue and everything. And we haven't. And, I got this quote this week to say, he who listens to his intuition has a better chance of succeeding than he who doesn't listen to his intuition. And it took me back to what we were talking about, to say starting, because startups are, almost our intuition. What comes to our brain constantly, even if it's a business idea, every time you're like, if I did this thing, but when you finally listen and then take it up and start practicing, that's the only chance, and you get a better chance at succeeding than just keeping it in your brain.
And also, what I understand is that many things are uncertain. We are so uncertain, and I find that most of us are afraid of the uncertainty. Like, what happens if I start this? What happens if I quit this job? What happens if I follow my passion to do my business? It's so completely uncertain. And that's one thing that I should also emphasize, that you cannot run away from the uncertainty. You cannot run away.
Almost everything is uncertain.
Everything is uncertain. And it doesn't have to be completely clear how it will go. Whether we're talking about a business, it doesn't have to be completely clear. Whether it's your education, you don't have to see that it's going to be all smooth for you to do it.
That's but another thing that I'm getting from here is that actually the uncertainty should push you to do something or to achieve something. Why I'm saying this, life itself is uncertain. You don't know when you're going to die, and to me, not the fear of death, but the understanding that death can come at any moment pushes me to do things in the moment. Because you can wait to say, I'll start my business when next year. What if you don't reach it next year? So the uncertainty that is there in life should actually give you the goal to say, when you have an idea, make sure that you execute it as fast as you can, as soon as you can, because you don't know what might happen.
You don't want to go to the grave with your idea. I also remember listening to something, and someone said that the graveyard is like the largest collection of ideas.
Yeah.
Many of us will take our ideas to the
All
grave.
those people that died with their brilliant
if
ideas and they never materialized.
never materialized some,
That's so true.
And I think also for me, what I've noticed is the problem is our own intelligence. We question a lot.
We think too much.
We think too much
before starting,
and it begins to paralyze us.
Yeah.
You're like, this is the way in which it can fail. This is the way in which this cannot work. Too much analysis to the extent that you begin to stop trying anything. You know?
Yeah. That is so true, and you make a very good point, Kelvin, because I think most of us, when we want to start something, we have this brilliant idea. We always start thinking about all the negative things, all the bad things that could happen, without even thinking about the positive things that could happen. Like you're thinking about losing money if it's about investment, you're thinking about your business failing and all that. And one thing that we don't focus much on is, now, what if it actually blows up?
It blows up and we don't pay much attention to that.
We do not, and we should.
Yeah, I like to ask myself, what's the worst that can happen? It turns out what we think is the worst that can happen when we try something new is not actually the worst that can happen.
Yeah.
I think the worst that can happen is not to give it a try. Is not to start it, is not to learn from it. Because also what I've figured out is that things begin to drive themselves the moment you start. You may not have the clear picture, but once you start something, for example, going to the gym, it slowly begins to drive itself.
That's when you know how to lift.
Yeah, that's when you know how to lift.
Yeah.
When you just sit down and watch people on TikTok, YouTube, lifting things, well, I don't know
how that... It will not give you anything. You will not know how it's done, but you have to be there, to actually take an initiative to start. And remember, we're not saying because you start, it doesn't mean you'll not fail. There's a high possibility that you will fail. And this conversation is not telling you that as a business person, as an entrepreneur, you should not have that analysis of all the things that could go wrong. No, that is important. You need that. You need to know that you can make profit and you can also make losses. But what we're trying to say is the fact that there will be losses in your journey should not stop you from starting. Because almost everything that we do in life, we do it as a try. Even waking up. When you're just waking up, you don't even know if your legs are going to work, for God's sake, And you try, you're like, oh my. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. That one step that you take just to get out of your bed in the morning. That's the step that matters to where you're going to be even 10 years from now.
Exactly.
So what is important is to start.
Yeah, to start. And when you start something, usually what will appear like failure is not failure at all.
It's a learning point.
Exactly what I was about to say. It's a learning point. And I think it's time that we stop being afraid of failure. Because as we are speaking right now, I think what I'm getting from this podcast, from the time we started, is that failure does not exist.
Oh, failure does not. It's these are all learning points that you see when you can only see them when you start, which means the first thing that you have to applaud yourself by is I started.
I started, and it's a big milestone.
Exactly. I took an initiative and I started. Before I started, I didn't know all these things could have happened. I didn't know that all these competitors are going to come into the business. I didn't know that some customers are going to give all this feedback that is going to take my product to the next level. All that is going to happen if you start.
And this we're talking about, let's picture it in terms of like building. When you start, you're building something, whether it's a habit, whether it's a business, whether it's a skill, you're beginning to build it. And then you learn from all the small mistakes that you're making.
Yes.
And then you begin to perfect it. So as long as you're studying, you're laying a foundation that can be something great.
Yeah.
And the most interesting thing is that sometimes the foundation may look small. It may look like a single step. It may look like one day, the first day at the gym. It may look like finally showing your skill to your followers online, telling them that I can teach mathematics, showing them that, oh, you guys, by the way, I'm a math teacher, or I'm a science teacher.
Yes.
It may look like a small thing, but that small foundation can hold a big skyscraper.
Yeah. That's so true. And the point that you're making is taking me to something that I wanted us to discuss today.
Yeah.
Starting small. One thing that I've observed, Kelvin, is most of us don't like starting small. When we have our ideas, because our ideas are never small. An idea is never small because you look at the potential. You don't look at where you're starting from. You don't look at the journey.
Yeah.
You look at where it could go. When you're
Wow.
building a business, you look at all the millions and billions that you can make in that business. You don't look at all the other hassles, all the late nights that it will have.
Yeah.
And I just want us to talk about the power that is in starting small, being able to know that, yes, even though my dream is this big, but I can still start with what I have right now and still take me to the same.
And I like what you're saying, that I can still start. That I part shows me that, the most important thing is for you to realize on your own that you have the potential.
Yeah.
I know, like, many of us have been taught wonderful things, that you can make it in life, or you have such great future, you have such wonderful potential. But then if you don't see it by yourself, for yourself, you can watch as many podcasts as you can, but no one is going to make you take the first step to start small.
It's yourself.
It's yourself that has to decide that, okay, this journey, even if you've not made it so many years, it's yourself who has to motivate. Because I think everyone is really so busy trying to change their own lives that it becomes hard for you to start pushing other people. And as I like that we're starting this podcast to at least make an initiative to check on each other and try to push one another. But fundamentally, everyone has their own responsibility to wake up from slumber and push themselves.
Exactly. That is very true. And we're just trying to make sure that people, all of us together, understand that we have the capability to make our ideas to come into something, to materialize, But that is not going to happen if you don't tell yourself that you can start. And as I said, you need to be able to understand that you can start small and actually grow. And that's what an amazing journey is, and it helps you a lot if you're starting small, because the time that you're learning as you're also growing. You don't want to just start with a million kwacha investment, and after a week it fails and then you're frustrated. But the good part about starting small is those small losses that you encounter, they teach you. At the same time, you're not feeling it that much that you have lost a huge chunk of your capital, So most of us are really, really afraid to start small. And I think I'll give you an example of how most graduates don't like this whole concept of internship or volunteering. And even though that's the case, we're still worried that all the jobs that we are trying to apply to are looking for some experience. 5 years experience. And you're like, oh my God, I have my degree with a distinction in my bag, but I don't have the experience. But you're forgetting that there's an opportunity for you to start.
Wow.
It might not present you with the millions that you're looking for a salary, but it might present you the chance for you to learn, the chance for you to build your own CV.
Exactly. And you know what is reminding me of? So there was a time we were both student teachers at GGU Secondary School.
Yeah.
So our time to be student teachers was finished.
4 months.
4 months, yeah. Finished, and we have to go, you know?
Yeah.
But independently, I had decided that, you know what, I'm still going to keep teaching for free as a volunteer teacher.
Yeah.
And then I find out the following day, Cecilia is also like, oh, I'm still going to be volunteering here for free and stuff. And I should say that that changed a lot about me as a teacher because I kept teaching those kids and until they wrote their Form 2 and they had the most amazing results in their junior certificate exams. And I had a story to tell. So whenever I'm going to a new school, they were fascinated that you did this. You know, I had something to tell. If I was just home waiting to be employed,
that couldn't have happened. Yeah. So that's very true. And that time when we left, we had teaching experience.
Exactly.
And it was different from our friends because you can't put on your CV that you were teaching, you were doing teaching practice because teaching practice is part of your learning, you know. But we taught and we finished the whole academic year. Instead of just teaching for 4 months, we taught for 3 terms and we made sure that all our students graduated from one class to another. And that was one amazing thing. And I was actually thinking about the same thing when I was reading through what we're going to discuss today. And I was so fascinated. I was like, this is the mentality that most of us should have. You know, you can start. And remember, you can start with what you have, where you are. You don't need all these fancy big things that we think we require when we need to start something. No.
And I think things become fancy as you go.
Exactly.
They become fancy as you go. Because, you know, when we are looking for fancy and brilliant and aesthetically pleasing things like stories to tell home, but oh, you know what, I have this big job. I have this big job. I think we're going to wait for so long.
We're going to wait.
We're going to wait for so long. And I think what should happen is that the fancy things will find you along your way.
Exactly. As long as you start now. So if it's a business idea that you have, make sure you start now with the small amount of money that you have. You want to start a bakery, make sure that you're able to bake some muffins, you know, some few muffins and then put them by the gate and sell. You want to work for the Reserve Bank. Make sure that you're able to work in a small bank, you know, or you can be a teller, make sure you start with that. You want to be a lecturer, but do you know how to teach primary school students? So you need to start somewhere and never ever underestimate the power of starting small because remember, it's in those small startups that big things have come. We hear the stories about Apple. You know, all those Facebook, almost everything that has become a big deal has started somewhere that you can't even recognize.
You cannot.
You know, ideas that were born in garages and now they have in a whole institution employing millions of people. You know, so we need to have that same thinking, way of thinking to say I can start small with what I have, where I am, and still be able to grow to something that I've always dreamed about.
And you know, it brings me to the point where you know one must believe in themselves. I think you must know that your ideas are important. For a long time, I used to believe like, you know, everyone else is thinking good thoughts. You know, everyone else is like a business person. I am not.
I'm not.
I am not. And I would just be here. I would watch these people build their businesses. But me,
I'm meant for something else, not
But
this.
deep down, I knew that I have ideas and they keep coming. But I don't respect them. I don't respect what I am thinking. And I think the moment I started to respect, what I'm thinking, I began to even wonder when people say it can't work. And then I'm like, what do you mean it can't work? No one is doing it to confirm that it cannot work.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also I also know, like I said last episode, that when you're doing something, you will do it differently. Like if someone else was to do the podcast with you, it would be a completely different episode. If that's why that's where the unique things come from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just remembered a book that I'm reading this week, starting last week. It's called The Power of Starting Something Stupid.
Oh.
So it's by Rich Norton. I think I can share the book with you.
Yeah.
Rich Norton. So it goes to what you're saying, to say, usually when you have that idea that people say it's stupid, it can't be done, it's too big for you, it's not realistic, those are the ideas that you should know that they can become something big, and they have all the potential, because it is in that misunderstanding that you've created something unique. Because I'll tell you one thing, as a people, we like going towards things that we are familiar with, things that we already know. If you go in a shop and you're looking to buy something, or let's say you have different brands of peanut butter, even though the other ones might look good, maybe they have good branding and everything, you always go for the one that you know. Even though you haven't tasted the other ones, and the other ones that look so dull and everything might actually taste better. But we always go for the brand. We always go for what we already know. And because of that, everybody, when we have ideas that people keep telling us it's stupid, it's too big, it can't be done, we need to know that those comments are not coming in because your idea is stupid, but because of the misunderstanding. People, because we are all used to having the same things that we already have. When TikTok started, what did people say? It's an application where people just dance. No, it's just a blend between Facebook and IG, and then they made this just videos, all sorts of things. People say it a lot, but look at TikTok now.
It's not like one of the biggest.
And I know people that used to be on Facebook, people that used to be on IG or Snapchat. Almost everybody is on TikTok. They blended all that. But what happened at the beginning? We didn't understand because we were used to what we already know. So, as a creator, as somebody who wants to start something, you shouldn't be let down by somebody's idea of your idea to say it's stupid. Remember, there's power in starting something stupid. It is stupid because people don't understand it. Therefore, it's new, it's unique. Yeah.
That's a very interesting point.
Thank you.